This is the Average Guy Network, and you have found Home Gadget Geeks, show number 564 with guest Sammie Collison, recorded on March 2nd, 2023. Here on Home Gadget Geeks, we cover all of the favorite tech gadgets that find their way into your home. News, reviews, product updates, and conversation, all for the average tech guy. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the AverageGuy.tv studios here in a beautiful Bellevue, Nebraska. We got some 50s and 60s on the slate as I'm looking at the weather station. And of course, we'll post the show. We'll post the show with world-class show notes over at the AverageGuy.tv. Don't forget, this episode affiliate sponsor is Nespresso. Use the code MQU328. And Sammie, I know you told me you could come up with a better link for that, but that's not the way it works.
Fair enough.
You have to have the code and take it over to Nespresso.com. And if you did that, you get $40 off your first machine, your first Nespresso machine. Give it a try. I think they're also sending you what did they say? A free capsule dispenser. So if you're drinking bad coffee, stop. There's Keurig's okay. It's not that great, just to be honest. Nespresso, much better. Give it a try. Check it out. The code is MQU328. Get $40 off your first machine. Give it a try. Stop drinking bad coffee. Big thanks to Randy Walker, who joined us last week. Always great to have him on the show. Longtime listener, first-time guest. And Randy, thanks for coming on. You did a great job and appreciate that. Big thanks to our Patreon subscribers as well. If you're finding value in this podcast, you can join the Patreon team. Plans start at $5. TheAverageGuy.tv/Patreon. And we appreciate those guys that do it. And then big thanks. We're on the last week of beer from John. Although, full transparency, I already drank it. So it was one of the. Remember back in the day, Uyghur would drink the beers before we get to the show. I'd send him beers and he would drink them. This one got opened by mistake. And once it's open, Sammie, right? Once it's open, you got to drink it, right?
Yeah. It's kind of got. The clock starts ticking for how good it is, and it's prime in that first hour.
So, and especially a stout, super delicious.
For sure.
John, thanks for sending those beers for the month of February. Starting next week, we have 4 beers from Erin. She sent them from Alberta, so we're going to be talking about some Canadian beer, and not quite as these have been 8-9%. Those are 4. So maybe I'll make it to the end of a show. You've heard from her already, and Sammie, my daughter, is with us tonight. Sammie, welcome back to Home Gadget Geeks.
Glad to be back.
Good to have you. Let's catch people up. What have you been up to? You say what you want about the last year. What have you been up to?
It's been bonkers, but the long and short of it is I dropped out of school and I got a job at the library. Because I was just I kept trying to do something that I wasn't good at, and I was like, why don't I just do something I am good at?
Yeah.
So I applied for a circulation desk job at my local library and got hired. And I have been working there a little more than a month now, I think. And I love it. It's amazing.
Yeah. You kept you come home, I'd be like, well, how was work? And you'd tell me all these crazy things that you were doing at the library, all these things that were available. Oh, they're handing out gift cards today. And oh, they're doing this today. And oh, they're doing that today. And I was like, what is this place? What is this? I've always thought it. So the Bellevue Public Library where you're working is literally just 2 blocks away from us. And so you drive down there, but you could walk. I mean,
I walked most of my life going to and from.
You'll probably do some more walking down there. But I would just kind of thought it was a dirty room with a bunch of old books. But and I thought 3 people ran the place. And there's a giant staff, and they have all these positions and all these people stuff, and all these people come, and I was real that library, that place. So I wanted to spend a little time tonight because there's so many, I think, cool things. I think sometimes we forget the power of a local public library. You wouldn't think. Bellevue, Nebraska. Now Bellevue is the 3rd largest city in Nebraska. So Omaha 1, Lincoln 2, Bellevue 3. So it's not tiny, but for most places, if you're a regular listener, you probably live in a bigger town. Just to be honest, you probably live, I don't know, we're 50 or 60,000, maybe something like that here in Bellevue. but our library does pretty well. Sammie, tell us a little bit about your position. What do you do in there? What do you say you do for the library?
So I'm technically a clerk, so I work at the front desk. So my main job, like 90% of what I do is checking books in, checking people out, answering the phone, and helping people find things. But there's also like the job description when I applied is like a page and a half. There's a million other things that I do to help out other people who work at the library, to help patrons find things, helping people with the things we're going to talk about later, like computers and the MakerSpace. I am like a one-woman show. All of us who work at the front desk are skilled in doing almost everything at the library, and the training period is actually 6 months officially, because that's how long it takes to actually learn everything that you have to do there.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. You had spent a lot of time though at the library before, when
So
that
true.
job opened up, right? I mean, talk a little bit about your time growing up. It's not like you didn't like going there, right?
No, I've always loved the library. I've always been a big reader. And because it was only like 2 blocks away, I'd walk down there, especially in the summer if I was bored, or I just wanted to get out of the house. I'd walk down to the library and hang out there. And obviously, like, the books were the biggest draw for me, but also the fact that they have a computer lab and digital services, and it's just a nice, like, it's not too quiet, it's not eerily quiet, but it's usually the volume is kept to a low murmur, so it's always been like the perfect volume of noise for me. And so whenever I'm like, I just need to be comforted, I'm just going to go to the library and stand between the shelves in the nonfiction section and just let my brain calm down.
Well, it's been a good job for you. It's been a perfect. I don't know why we didn't do it earlier, but we didn't, and now you're there and you're having a great time. So we're glad you are. We so beyond the books, which I think is, and I mentioned just kind of old, smelly books. When you think of the library, and they're not. They circulate a lot of new books through there. That's what you
Sure
may
do.
know is at your public library. But talk a little bit more about what from technology gadget perspective, what else is available?
Our most used technology is our computer lab and our iPads. So we have, I believe it's 6 computers and I think like 10 iPads that you can check out and use in the library. And we get a lot of people using those. You can use them for up to 2 hours. It's free, whether you have a card or whether you don't. You can get a guest pass even if you don't have a library card and use our computers. And a lot of people get on there to print because we have printers and a copy machine, and it costs a little bit of money to print because the ink is expensive. But a lot of people who don't have printers at home or don't have computers at home come in and use our computers, especially for like job applications or online orientation or online classes. It's really nice to be able to use something for free that is normally incredibly expensive.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and a lot of folks have moved to phones, right? But there are still folks who don't have that, or they want to come in and just right. You get folks who want to come down and read the paper or just spend
Mm-hmm.
some time on a computer. They maybe don't want to own or maintain their own, and they just want it for an hour or two a day. You get some regulars like that, right?
Oh, for sure.
Can I
Absolutely.
can I
There's a lady who comes in and just plays solitaire.
sounds like my mom or my
Yep.
dad, one of the two. Can you get a cup of coffee there? Is it
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, we got coffee. You can get coffee or tea for $1. We got a Keurig machine.
mm-hmm. Not
You can bring
Nespresso. I
not an
mean,
espresso. Hey,
code
maybe if somebody wants to donate an espresso to the library, that would be tight.
MQU328 Nespresso.com. Check that out. Not that we're pimping that or anything, but what other kind of tech? So computers, iPads, what else is available?
So we got the copy machine and the fax machine, pretty
Yep.
standard stuff.
Yep.
But the most special thing that I'm really excited about is we have the MakerSpace, which is my coworker Connie. This is her baby. This is her project. So in the room where we used to have the computer lab, we have a bunch of specialized machines, and we get them through an interconnected Nebraska library program. But we are the permanent home of a laser cutter, so you can etch into things like wood and plastic and glass. And then we have a couple rotating machines right now. If I recall correctly, I'll try to remember them all. We have sewing machines, an embroidery machine. We have a flat heat press for t-shirts and a round heat press for mugs. We have Cricut machines for cutting out die cuts and like stickers. We have a 3D printer, and let's see. Is that everything? There's so many machines that it's hard to remember them all.
Where
I
are
think
they
that's all the ones off the top of my head.
Are they like set up in a lab somewhere?
Yes.
Or?
So there's a room that's like off the side, right next to. It's in the room where the computers used to be. It's next to where the computers currently are, and they're all set up on tables around the wall. And you can set up an appointment with our adult services staff, get trained in how to use the machines, and then you can come in basically anytime and use the machines just for the cost of materials. So you can buy materials from us or bring in your own materials and use them with our machines.
Yeah, it really is. I've been talking about doing 3D printing. It's really the place I probably need to go to do that. I still need to go. Since you started, I haven't gone to the library. But I need
I was
to go
like,
and renew
when's the
my
last time
card.
I think your card isn't even in the system anymore. I looked.
Well,
I don't think it's there. Yeah. I think it's been so long that they just purged you from the system.
Well, can I get my number back, or do I have to get a whole new?
No, you got to get a new number.
It has been a long time since
I
did that. Couple questions coming in from the chat room. Uncle Marv's asking if they do you still have physical papers? Do you guys get
Sure do. We still get regular papers for the regional newspapers. I don't know what we get in terms of national newspapers. And then I think we keep a 6-month back catalog of periodicals. And then we got a bunch of magazines too.
Yeah. Do you have the papers? I always remember going to the library and they had these long wooden poles, and the papers were on the poles, and they were.
No, we got magazine. We got a magazine rack over in the reference section, and you can just pull them out. We got a regular who comes and reads the paper every morning. He gets a cup of coffee.
Oh, yeah. When I was in the military, I visited. Before I got married, I visited the library a lot. I was there quite a bit. They had. And I read quite a few books that way. Took them to the field with me, some of those kinds of things. John, that's a good question. What kind of security do you have on those computers to ensure they're not infected? And do you know?
I don't know exactly what the program is called, but we do. So we have there's 2 different programs on, or it might be part of the same program. There's a program that locks the computer, so you have to either use your library card or guest pass to log on. But there's also basically every night the computer's essentially factory reset. There's a couple programs that stay on the computers, but if you download something, by the next day it's gone.
Yeah.
So the computers are constantly resetting for that safety and security, and for our patron security. So that way, anything that they had downloaded on the computers to print, we don't hold on to.
Yeah, Best Buy has a kiosk mode that they put all their computers into, and if you search the web or do anything on that computer, as soon as the screensaver comes on, it wipes out. So basically everything you're doing kind of is just in cache. And then as soon as the screensaver comes on, it's all reset. So that resets for every customer that way.
Yeah, ours resets for every login, like all the data that's been downloaded, and then the computer does a hard reboot at night. Yeah. And we as the staff have no control over it. Yeah. It when the time the library closes, the computers do it on their own.
Oh man.
And then when it's time to open, the computers all turn on.
Wow. So somebody must manage.
Somebody must do that. Somebody for the city of Bellevue probably does that.
That's a pretty cool idea. Brian likes the idea. He says, fantastic idea. Use the machines, but pay for the materials. Yeah. Copy machine model for the 21st century. Yeah. Does the 3D printer, like in the time that you've been there, has the 3D printer got used at all?
Yep. And Connie, our adult services, one of our adult services librarians, uses it all the time.
Really? What does she print? Do you know?
I don't know, like charms and gadgets, and she's always like, oh, I got somebody coming in for the 3D printer today. So I'm not nosy enough to know all the specifics, but there are people using it. There's people in and out of there pretty much every day.
That's good. Those things keeps them used, keeps them, so they don't
warm, keeps them working,
keeps them going. John says, maybe is it possible to reset after each log out? Do they log in, or they just stay log in?
Yeah, they log in and they log out. Yeah. And it logs you out automatically from disuse after a certain amount of time. And it logs you out after your 2 hours are up for the day.
Joe says there used to be a thing called HORM, hibernate once, resume many. Yeah, well, it's I think we've gotten that problem solved as far as having computers in public and whatever in kiosk mode or whatever. He meant can you reboot the computer after each? Well, maybe, but it sounds like they've got a pretty good
system. And I think we can manually reboot if it's necessary, because sometimes the computer is janky and you just got to reboot it and then it works again.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, even in the library, reboot.
Yep, even at the library, you just got to turn it off and then back on again.
Reboot works. Okay, this was an area that was a little bit of a surprise to me. Not that they had these, but many they had. Talk a little bit about all the leisure passes that you can
Oh,
get.
yes. I love the leisure passes. So we have passes. They're 1-day passes to various places. We've got the Durham Museum in downtown Omaha, the Children's Museum, which is our most popular pass, Lawrence and Gardens up in Omaha, Fontenelle Forest in Bellevue, and the B-Cycles, the electric bikes in Omaha. And you can check those out for a day, or you can use the pass for 1 day, but you get it checked out for 5 days. So you can check it out on like a Thursday and go on a Saturday. And those are really popular. Like the Children's Museum and the Durham passes are never on our shelf for more than like a couple hours. People come in multiple times a day, and you can't put a hold on them because they're in such high demand. So people will just come in and be like, "You got the pass," and if we do, they're lucky and they get it.
Yeah, we have a new science STEM center going in downtown.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine though, does the library buy those individually and then fund them? How does that work?
I think it is part of our budget. I don't quote me on this because I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure it is part of our budget. However, the zoo passes, we occasionally, we're getting our last batch before the fall on April 1st, where the zoo will donate 150 1-day passes that we just give out to anybody who has a card that's in good standing. So like they don't have any fines on their account or overdues. And that just helps promote the zoo during their off season. So they're kind of trying to get people to come in so they'll want to come back. And those are fully free. The zoo just gives us those.
Nice.
But I think the passes, I think we pay for the membership. They might give us a discount, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah. No, I was just surprised at all those, Omaha's, we're not a huge metro, but we've got some nice places you can go get tickets for. Wish they had, baseball tickets for like the College World Series.
That would be dope.
That would be pretty cool. The e-bikes one, we have it's called B-Cycle here in town.
Yeah.
And I actually had a really discounted, right before the pandemic, I had a really discounted rate through my employer, through Gallup. And we lost all that. Pandemic went down. I thought actually they'd go out of business during the pandemic, but nope, they stayed around. In fact, they grew. And you can go to the library. I may actually, as spring comes around and the weather gets a little nicer, I may try to snag some B-Cycle.
Yeah, the B-Cycle passes and the Fontenelle Forest passes we have the most of, and they stay on the shelf for the longest. So I recommend getting those because they're always there.
Alex says at our old local library, we'd use those to take the kids to museums. I'd go first thing in the morning before work and try to get one. And I think that happens too, right? For you, as a lot of folks.
Yeah, the zoo pass day, people line up an hour before we open.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And we'll usually open the doors and like get them into a meeting room so they're not like waiting in the cold. But people get really excited about the zoo passes.
See, I had no idea there was a rush on zoo passes.
A rush on zoo passes. They're free and they're for 2 adults and 6 children. So like if you got a big family, you could take them.
Yeah, it's just down the street. This is a crazy thing. Like this has been happening under my nose.
It's like a secret world right next to your house.
It is crazy as you were telling me about this. Alex also says, unfortunately, the library where we are now doesn't have that anymore. And I wonder, the Omaha public system's pretty big, right? It's probably
it sure is. There's a lot of libraries in the Omaha system.
I don't know, 15, 20 libraries, right? And I kind of wonder, it gets me thinking, I wonder what's available, what they have available. Is it similar or different?
It's possible it's similar. I know that the Omaha libraries also, some of them also have Fontenelle Forest passes, so they might also have some of the other passes. But you never know. It's worth checking. And also the thing about that is the more you use your library, the more money they get most of the time. Also, if you give them money, then they have more money. And so a lot of the times when those types of services go away, it's because the library is underfunded. Most libraries are underfunded. We have to charge memberships for people outside of city limits because we're not funded by the county. And so if you want good things from your library, you got to support your library. Yeah. Even just getting a library card helps.
Oh, guilty.
That's my soapbox.
Guilty. My it's been so long, mine was canceled.
My shirt I wore this to work. Support your local library.
Nice. Did you make that or did you buy it?
No, I bought it. Okay. I bought it online.
Yeah. Brian asks, Sammie, does the library participate in the library overdrive system? Those are ebooks or audiobooks that you can get in an app.
We sure do. I love Libby. I use Libby more than the physical library, I think, honestly.
Really? In what way? Tell me in what way.
I get a lot of I borrow a lot of ebooks and read them on my Kindle, which is amazing. It's the greatest. And it's more convenient, especially if it's really hot or really cold and I don't want to go all the way. I mean, this was before I worked there.
Right.
But if I didn't want to go all the way down to the library, or they have things in the digital collection that they don't have in the physical collection.
Yeah.
Or if I'm traveling and want to download a bunch of books onto my Kindle so that way I don't have to bring like 5 books into the car with me or on a plane.
Yeah.
And then audiobooks we also have. So you can borrow those just like a regular book, but it goes onto your phone or your tablet, and then you can, if it's a ebook, you can send it to your Kindle and read it on there.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
Yeah,
and it's free. If you have a library card, it's free.
I think I used Overdrive at one point. So my card must have worked
at some point
in the last 10 years.
I think we purged a bunch of cards in the
pandemic. No, it's okay. I'm not that bitter. I mean, I am kind of bitter, but I'm not.
You should have used your library card, my guy.
Yeah, well, okay, easy on me. Uncle Marv, it says, do you offer streaming with Canopy or Hoopla?
I don't think so.
Okay.
If we do, then I don't know about it.
And the funding, Ken says, where's the funding come from? Local, state, federal?
City taxes, and then from things like donations, membership fees,
book sales,
etc. Our fees for like late books go straight to the city, but anything else that you buy from the library, we have a lot of fundraising endeavors. Those go straight to us. So like the coffee pods go to us. Buying books from our book sale room goes to us. All of that, and then the city taxes.
Mm-hmm. This was the biggest surprise to me, that there was a ton. It's like there's a ton of employees there. I was thinking like 3 people run the whole library. I mean, how hard can it be? It's books. Check them out. How many do you think are on staff at our local library?
Hold on, I actually might have the staff. I'm not going to show you the staff roster, but I might be able to count approximately how many people are on staff.
Yeah, give me a big round number. It's
about 25 are on my staff roster, not including the board.
Yeah,
the board is 10, I think, or 8.
Yeah, and it's just one building, right?
One building. It's pretty small. We're moving in about a year and a half, but
yeah. You're actually moving into an old Gallup building.
We are moving into an old Gallup call center.
It wasn't our. We didn't own it. We rented the space. They leased it. That's true. So John says, I'm getting schooled by you. That's always nice. He also says all the books that he wants are backed up for months on a waiting list. Do you guys have do you get a?
Yeah, we get some waiting lists, and like I do a lot of the holds, and like I'll check in a book, and it'll immediately like give me a pop up, and it's like this book is on hold. And there's certain books, like really books that we know are going to be popular and are new, we get multiple copies of, and then when they start to die off in popularity, we'll sell the extra copies in the book sale room. But like some books are just popular, and we just can't afford to have that many copies of them, so we get the wait list. And some books are just they don't touch the shelf for months. Colleen Hoover books, most of them don't touch the shelves for at least a year after they've been released. And so like that's the thing about free books, is sometimes you got to wait for them. And sometimes I will end up buying a book because I know that I'm going to be on a wait list for like 6 months.
Yeah, it's hard to get. Is part of your responsibility, you call if like when something comes in, it's on hold,
Yep.
You call
so our system, if you have a cell phone number and you agree to get text messages, or if you have an email address with us, our system will automatically tell people when I scan a book and it says this hold is available. As soon as I scan it, it sends that person a text or an email. But some people don't have that, especially older folks. So I end up calling them. I literally, especially if it's slow, I'll be like, oh, it's Janet. And I'm like, at some point I'm going to have these people's phone numbers memorized, because I know there's like 5 of them that I'm calling all the time because they're always getting books on hold, and I'm always having to call them. But it's exciting to call for holds because it's always good news. Like calling people for overdues is the worst because they're just like upset about it. And it's like, you got to turn it in or pay us money or both. But calling people for holds, I'm like, great news, the book you want, it's here. And they're like, I'll be there.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they'll probably get to know your voice too if you're
Mhm.
there for a while.
Possible.
Like, oh, Sammie's calling.
It's
It's the
me.
library. It's going to be
It's love
Sammie.
me.
Brian's asking, curious about the demographic data. Do you find that ebooks and audiobooks tend to be younger patrons compared to hard copy books? You maybe haven't been there long enough to know, but any thoughts on that?
I think that's likely. I think that a lot of patrons, a lot of older patrons want the physical books because they want our large print section. Our large print section has grown exponentially in the time that I have lived in this city. It used to be like 2 shelves next to the nonfiction section, and now we replaced most of our reference section with the large print section.
Mhm.
It's probably 5 or 6 floor to ceiling shelves full of large print books. And so older folks, especially if they don't have like an iPad and it's hard for them to see, like even if they zoom in really hard on their phone, it's still too small. And
Yeah.
so like a physical book with large print is super useful for them. Well, I think the younger folks are less picky. I think that they'll take whatever it's available on. And we do have audiobooks on CD. But I think people tend to do those just for their cars because most people don't have CD players. And if they're
Mhm.
listening anywhere else other than their car, then they'll get audiobooks through Libby. That's my conjecture
That's what you think. Yeah,
based on
well,
my experiences.
yeah, no, it's always an interesting, it it's an environment that I mean, you would think, I mean, it's pretty diverse as
For
far
sure.
as people who come in, people who get the books, who get books and the different kinds of things. It's been a while. I mean, since I've been in, and I remember, you could go, you get movies for a while. Can you
Mhm.
still? Can
Yep.
you?
We still
Can you
got
still?
lots of DVDs and
Wow.
CDs. We're one of the last libraries that still has music CDs because they're hard to secure.
Yeah.
The CD
Yeah.
cases that lock are hard to
Yeah.
get. They don't make them anymore. But we still got a bunch of them
It's crazy. That's
for
crazy.
adults
Yeah.
and kids.
Yeah. No, right on. Um, this is an area that I've been talking about doing a meetup forever, but I haven't been able to pull one off. Could I do a meetup at a local library? Do you guys have a room big enough? I could get
You sure
you guys in?
can.
Yeah.
So we have a large meeting room and a small meeting room. Every library is different. Some libraries have private study spaces. We don't have any of those, but we do have a big meeting room, and that's the room that the library, when it hosts polling, what do we vote? That's my voting place. And that's where they have voting. So it's a pretty sizable meeting room. They do Qantas meetings in there. We did an author fest recently where we got a bunch of local authors to come in and sign books and meet some folks and kind of promote their work and engage with the community. And so we had probably, I think, like a dozen authors in
Mm.
that room. So it's pretty sizable and
It
it's
is
free to
size.
rent as long as it's available during that time. And like we have a fellowship group that meets in the small meeting room every Thursday.
Wow.
And so like they're always there.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
look
It's
to
a
your
good.
local library and see if they've got a room for you.
Yeah. There's not too many hotels in that part of town, but it could be a place for a
And also
meetup.
hotels are pricey.
They are. Well, but I was
Libraries
thinking,
free.
people are coming in from out of town to do a
True.
meetup, to do a tech meetup. That's a little bit. Although right now, with as expensive as everything is,
Everything's expensive except the library, which is free.
that's true. Maybe it'll make a comeback. Um, but okay, so besides books, we talked a little bit about audiobooks and DVDs, but there's others. There's like some other things that you wouldn't think you could check out at the library that
Oh
are available for
yeah.
you.
So
Like
we got
just
some random things. So we have cake pans, which I think we started getting those like 2 or 3 years ago. I think it was like just before the pandemic we got those. Time is soup. So you can check out a fun shaped cake pan to make a cake in. Because that's one of those things that like you don't want to buy for yourself and then have it cluttering up your house. So why not just borrow it from the library? We also have puzzles and board games, which are super popular. Most of those get used in house, but a lot of people with kids will check those out and use those, which is nice. We got a pretty sizable puzzle collection. We get some good donations from those.
did you say board games?
We got board games.
You
We
got
got
board
lots of
games.
board games.
Yeah. So another. Do you like when you check those in and out? Does somebody look to make sure like all the
So
the pieces come
occasionally.
back?
Usually it's a pretty solid honor system. I think occasionally if it's really slow and like something needs to be done, somebody will go through and make sure all the pieces are in there. But we don't sweat that one too much. When with like CDs and DVDs, we check every time. We're like, we got to make sure it's all in there. With the board games, I think we're trusting patrons to tell us if something is missing.
Any whiskey and cigar rooms at the? No, those are on my back deck. Yeah,
that's for outside.
That's for us. That's for outside.
Although nobody's stopping you from sitting in the grass.
I don't know in Bellevue. I wonder if,
as long as you're clean and not there too long.
Okay.
You can hang out outside. There's picnic tables outside. Probably don't smoke too close to people or the building, but you can probably just hang out with some friends and have a picnic.
Do it in the backyard. That's what I built that for. When we think of the human capital, like of folks in the library, you always kind of think, well, how hard is it to put a book on the shelf? But there's a lot more to it than that, right? I mean, what do you think your coworkers bring to just the overall experience of the library?
Well, other than like the shelvers and the main front desk staff, pretty much everybody who works at the library has a degree, many of them in library science. So they specialize in being able to help you, the patron, find what you're looking for, whether that's material that we have or whether you need to look something up. Like we have reference sections, we have books, we got phone books, we got maps, we got SAT and ACT study guides. We've got this, that, and the other. And we've got people who are experts at looking things up on the internet. Honestly. I think Christine has a master's in library science. So if there's something that needs to be found, she will find it online or in our collection. And even those of us who don't have degrees have expertise in a myriad of things, because a lot of us have either gone to college and not finished or finished. And so we just have a base of knowledge, and a lot of us are readers. So we know a lot. We can give recommendations. We can help people find things out in the stacks in the nonfiction section that sometimes seems incredibly daunting. So there's a lot of things. I get a lot of phone calls about the randomest things. And I'm like, I'll help you find out the answer to your question. That's what I'm here for.
They really just call to ask a question?
They call and they're like, somebody asked me like what time, what was it? Was it a game or was it a music thing? There was something that somebody called me and they're like, what time is this thing? And I was like, I'll have Connie Google it for you. It's our job to just be there and help people.
There's a lending library thing that goes on citywide, or where if they don't have it, they can get it from another library.
Yes,
and what's that?
That is actually the Interlibrary loan system is nationwide.
Oh.
So if we don't have a book and another library does, you can pay $3 and they'll ship it to us and we can check it out to you.
Mm-hmm.
So if we got to ship something from New York, it's $3. If it's from the Plattsmouth Library, it's $3. But that's a lot cheaper than a $20 book.
But you have somebody that's their job, right?
Yeah, we have one person whose whole job is interlibrary loans and getting those books to us and then sending them back when they're done.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's really good at it.
That's pretty cool. I mean, that you just think about that. I think that price is going to have to go up, but because even shipping's got more expensive, right? But what a great value to be able to say, oh, hey, I really need this book. What about does Bellevue? I know some libraries, protect like local documents or local history or local heritage. Does our library have any of that where they're kind of the keepers?
We have some. Back in the office, there's a locked cabinet that's got some old books in it that I'm pretty sure are historical artifacts. So like we've got some stuff, and I've handled some books and some like pamphlets that are like at least 50 years old. Yeah. Like there's some old information in our library that I'm sure that there's some city history, because it's the oldest city in Nebraska. It's the first city.
Yeah.
Shout out
Bellevue.
The Fontenelle family.
Yeah. Bellevue was here, at least in Nebraska.
So there's some old documents and such in our building that I haven't touched, but they're there.
You just made a comment. You made us feel old, Sammie, by the way. I'm just going to tell you. He says, hey, now 50 isn't
I think
that
50 old. is the threshold for when something is antique.
Oh, well, your dad's getting to be an antique.
20 years. 50, I believe, is antique.
Vintage is older, though. I think vintage is like,
maybe vintage is 50 and antique is 100.
let's see.
But there's some sort of threshold at 50. You're going to Google it.
How old is vintage? Let's see. What does it say? It's thinking. Yeah. It's used to describe items that are from a previous era, but the exact age range can vary depending on the context. In general, vintage refers to items that are at least 20 years old, but less than 100. However, in the context of wine, vintage refers to the year in which the grapes were harvested and can be used to describe wine that is several decades old. It's important to know that the definition of vintage can also be subjective, and can vary depending upon the item, the individual using the term. So when you use it, might be different than
somebody else.
When I use it. Yeah, Uncle Marv, I used ChatGPT to
You didn't Google it?
I didn't Google. No, I used ChatGPT. I just
Google. Maybe that's why I'm finding things faster than you.
That's very possible. I said, I asked ChatGPT, what are the benefits of your local library? And it said to me, there are many benefits to your local library, including, I won't read it all, but access to information, free resources, community gathering place, lifelong learning, support for literacy, and preservation of cultural heritage. That allowed me to ask that last question. That wasn't on your notes.
That wasn't on my notes.
What else? Anything else? Anything else? Like, have you learned anything about yourself or about the library? Has it been 2 months yet?
I think I interact with kids a lot more than I did before. We got a lot of homeschooling families who come to the library all the time, and they'll place a hold for like 20 books at a time. And so I'll put those on the hold shelf, and then they'll come in and I'm like, here's your stack of books. But like I get to interact with those people because I'm spending so much time checking them out and like hanging out with their kids. Speaking of kids, we got a thing called Beanstack. I forgot to put Beanstack on the notes.
All right.
Beanstack is a reading challenge website that we do that, especially for kids and young adults, for teens. For adults, you just get digital badges for your reading challenges, but we still do them because we have a competitive spirit. But for the kids and for the teens, they can get physical stuff for reading. So we have prizes for them, and they can get free books. We have carts in the back full of books that we can give away to people for just reading, for just participating in reading.
That's cool.
It's like the Book It program, but you don't just get pizza. You also get more books.
How many free pizzas do you think you got for?
At least 20. I got a lot of personal pan pizzas through the book.
Like I was always, there's a Pizza Hut across town, and it always seemed like I was taking you to. We'd call them, hey, do you take the Book It pizza coupons?
Can I get free pizza? I read my books.
So it's an app, and you.
It's a web app, and you can also do it. So you can do it on your phone or on your computer, and you can just log your reading minutes. I do it because I'm competitive with my coworkers, but it's always exciting when somebody comes in and we're like, we got Beanstack minutes, and I'm like, you get a brag tag and a free book, and I get to pull out the cart, and it's like Christmas. It's amazing.
Oh, that's nice.
One of the greatest things I get to do. I love giving people things.
What do you think the difference? You were studying journalism when you were at Northwest Missouri State. What do you think the difference, now that you're working in the library, what do you think the difference for you has been in working those two different jobs? What's the library done for you, maybe that journalism didn't, or just kind of compare it? Because most of the listeners know you were going for that program. I don't know, just any thoughts on that and the difference between those two for you?
I think journalism was really hard on me because it's way more fast paced and you're on a deadline. At the library, if the books don't get checked in today, they'll get checked in tomorrow. Like it's not a big sweat. We'll put it, they'll get back on the shelf eventually. Yeah. It's not, we're kind of just beholden to ourselves and making sure that our patrons are served. And so as long as that's done, that the deadlines are not super urgent. So working on deadlines was really difficult. And also just like having to ask people for information that they didn't want to tell me was really hard on my psyche. And it just felt like I was delivering bad news constantly. And I like that now I get to deliver good news 90% of the time.
Yeah.
And whenever somebody has a question for me, it's my job to help them answer. And that's really fulfilling. To feel like every day I am helping somebody and I am bringing someone joy rather than delivering the doom and gloom of the world to people's doorsteps or phones.
Mm-hmm. What do you think? What do you think that experience though of 4 years journalism school? What parts of it prepared you a little bit or a lot of it for what you're doing right now? Do you think there's some direct correlation in there?
I think so. Like a lot of it was my people skills and like working with a team and working in a environment where even though there was kind of an authority structure, it was kind of in general a democracy. And that's similar to the way that the library works. I do have my bosses, but they're as much my coworkers as they are my bosses because they work at the front desk with me. We do a lot of the same things. And also conflict resolution. You get people at the library who don't want to pay their bills, they don't want to pay a membership, or they're going through a hard time and so they just want to yell at you about something, or maybe they have some sort of disability and they're feeling ornery or aren't reading the social cues, like all of those things. And like journalism will throw you, there's no frying pan, it's you just jump immediately into the fire when it comes to conflict. I was constantly having to diffuse arguments with people, and so even though I do that less now, I'm way more prepared for it when it does happen. I'm very calm under pressure and helping people to calm down when they're getting really worked up. And also it helps that in this case it's not the end of the world. If somebody's having a bad time, usually their issues are actually in reality small potatoes. Their feelings are not small potatoes, but it's easier to manage your feelings when what you're having feelings about isn't as pressing as something that I might be interviewing someone about for a newspaper. Because like that's their life and their livelihood and their job, or like the company or the school that they're protecting. That's bigger potatoes.
Yeah, I think it's a good pivot for you. I mean, I think about I did 5 years in the army, and I wasn't a very good soldier, just to be honest. Wasn't very good, and I took a job in retail banking, and I was a better banker than I was a soldier. But I'm not sure that was like I was more successful, but not when I made that switch to technology and started selling computers, I got even closer right to that. I was like, oh man, computers, these things are awesome. And I got in right at the right time, right? We were just 46s were just coming on. We're starting to see the early Pentium days, and it was just a great time to be in computer sales, although the prices were plummeting in those days. So the retail part didn't work, but that got me back to the bank, back into technology. I did data warehousing for a while and at a perfect time. Technology project management, which took me over to Gallup. Now got to do some recruiting and some podcasting. I mean, that's like 9 things that I've gotten to do in the
that's
30
a chain
years.
of jobs for sure.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, for some people, they work in something similar their whole life. I think for some, they move around, do things differently, try out different stuff. So kind of exciting to see you switch. We thought about journalism for a lot of years. I kind of thought we would. I mean, we even spent some time kind of talking through how do we create a website stuff for you? How do we get some of those kinds of things? But this library, the switch into library and in the opportunities that it may present here in the future was kind of cool. And it was kind of fun to see you get into that and then be excited when you came home from work. You'd be like, oh, this happened today. So it's been kind of fun. Have you had if you were to say a favorite moment from the library since you started, or what's your favorite thing to do there? What do you like to do the best?
What do I like to do the best? I don't know. I just like all of it. I like that I'm doing something that I know that I'm good at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Is that I'm really efficient, I'm really organized. It's just harnessing a lot of my strengths. Gallup plug.
I like it.
It's harnessing a lot of things that I already am good at and helping me get better at them. And so it's just nice to walk into work and know that I know what I'm doing and that the workplace is better for me being in it because I'm good at it.
Well, and you kind of knew what you were doing before you got there. You
So
spent
true. I've been there so many times.
there.
Like, I know where everything is. Yeah. Me and a friend, actually, somebody that I met in class for the semester that I was at UNO, she got hired the same time as me, and we started on the same day.
Yeah.
And we didn't know that we were both applying. So we showed up, and it was like the Spider-Man meme of us being like, I know you, you know
Hey,
me.
hey.
And so like she's not from here. She got moved here by the Air Force because she's got a parent in the Air Force. And it was nice on our first day when Claire was like, Sammie, you know where you're going. Show Lexi around. And so I could just like point. I'm like, I know where all the sections are. I know where all the books go. So like when it came to things like pulling holds and like when I do have to shelve things, usually I don't have to, but sometimes I do help out with that. I already know where all those things go. So that was a huge advantage when I got hired. I'm like, I know how this goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I already knew a lot of library policies and on fees and cards and stuff.
I asked, I was like, do they even need to train you? Can you? And listen, the way at the end of the first week, the way you talked about the way you were doing things felt like you'd been there a lot longer than a week.
It does feel like a lot longer than like a month. It feels like I've been there for like 6 months.
Yeah.
But also, it just like blended really easily. And a lot of the skills that I didn't already know, I picked up pretty quickly. And I learned best by doing. And so they just like threw me in on the first day. They're like, here, double check this cart or the books. So I just started scanning books. And I was like, this is great.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good confidence. It's good confidence builder. I think you've been happier, more focused. Like it's one of those kinds of things where you kind of settled in, you kind of found your tribe. And you like going in. I never hear you like, oh, I don't want to work today. You're working some weekends. You're doing some.
Yeah, I work 1 weekend a month.
That's why we're late tonight. Is because you work on Thursday.
Because I work. So I work evenings on Thursdays, and I work 1 weekend a month. But like I wasn't doing anything else. So and like when one of my coworkers is going to be out of the country for a hot minute, I'm like, I'm going to pick up some hours, make some extra money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not a bad thing. Not a bad thing. Any if you were to any advice you'd give? I mean, if you think about, well, okay, so most of the people who listen to this show are like me. They're not they're like me. But so what any advice you'd give to your own dad is like as you think about I hear this at work among my friends, their kids are going to college. They're thinking about going to college. They're starting work. Any sage advice from a 24-year-old that you'd give to the parenting generation? Yeah, you've gone through a major transition on this. Any thoughts?
I think the reality is that in your 20s, especially your early 20s, you change a lot. And so like even if you're absolutely sure going into college that this is what you want to do, you might find out doing it that you don't like it, or you do like it while you're doing it, and then something about you changes and you don't like it anymore. And so the reality of being a 20-something is change, and is changing your mind and learning things the hard way. And I pushed back against that every step of the way until now, basically, because I hated it. I hated the idea that I was wasting money. I hated the idea that I was wasting time. But at the end of the day, none of it is wasted because it is building you into the person that you're going to be. And so just accepting those mistakes, the choices that you make, the ones you still call mistakes when you tuck them in at night, Sarah Kay quote that I love. You got to stop thinking of them as mistakes and just think of them as choices that got you where you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And where you are isn't great, but it's a step on where you're going. And so like, I just got to believe that I'm going somewhere and it's going to be better than it was before.
Oh, I agree. I think you're already there in a lot of ways, and I think you're right. Those experiences are never wasted.
Mm-hmm. Because like a lot of the things that I learned through being a journalist are important aspects of who I am now. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't be who I was if I hadn't gone to Northwest and done 4 years of college and gotten all those experiences, met all those people. I wouldn't be who I am. And I like who I am better than I was before I went to college. Mm-hmm. So I think that it was good in the end.
Yeah.
Even if I didn't end up where I thought I would.
Well, okay. And to be selfish, from my perspective, you and I got to spend a ton of time together.
So true.
you had stayed local, I mean, maybe it would have happened. You never know, right? Again,
You never know.
it's not, you can't go back. It can't be different. It,
Mhm.
it is, it is what it was. And, you and I got to spend a ton of time together driving to and from school. I was just at your, I was just
Yeah,
at
my alma
Christmas
mater.
at
Is
your
it
alma
still
mater.
your alma mater if you didn't graduate?
I'll call it that. I think we can
Okay,
call it
it's
anything we
whatever.
want.
I was there long enough.
You were there for 4 years,
I
so
lived there.
we'll take it just because we don't have the paper. It's okay. Um, but I was just there yesterday recruiting, and as I was driving to and from, I was a passenger,
Mhm.
and one of our recruiters drove out there. I was like, I kind of miss these. I kind of miss these drives, these lonely, because it's all
It's just country
farmland.
roads. There's
Yeah,
nothing.
it's country roads and farmland.
Eventually, the radio gives out, and you're like, you got to find new stations, and so you just
Yeah,
turn off the
yeah.
radio and you just bask in it.
We spent a lot of time talking.
Sure
So
did.
it was super great to do that. And then I don't know, I think for me it's kind of fun to see you move into this kind of move into this new role, and you're real happy,
Hmm.
and who knows where it'll go. I mean, you don't know, but it's kind of great when you get that job that you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I really like going to work."
Hmm.
And part-time for now. I think you're going to get some more hours, and
Yeah.
it's we're off to, I think we're off to a good start. It's pretty cool. Anything that I missed on the library side of things, or anything else before we kind of wrap it?
Don't think so.
All right.
There was something that I felt like we missed, but I can't think of it anymore. I
Bri-
lost it.
Brian, we'll wrap it with this. Brian says the enthusiasm is great, something that unfortunately isn't always common in the workplace. Surely benefits your coworkers as well as your patrons or your patrons. And yeah, you're excited to be there.
Hmm.
You like, I mean, I'm super fortunate. We're in the midst with my job. I'm in the midst of doing a very, very difficult data transition, and those never go smooth, right?
Hmm.
And for the next couple weeks, it's going to be a little ugly. And yet, for some people, they're like, "Oh, this is just killing me." And I kind of wake up every morning like, "All right, let's see what we can get done today." I mean, today was a super stressful day. I'm sure I made a few of my coworkers not happy with me, but but I helped a couple customers. We got some things done. Had a conversation with our team in Japan, which was kind of fun. They were worried about a few things. It's kind of cool. I like doing it.
Hmm.
I like doing it. So super cool. Well, it's funny. We were talking about this around Thanksgiving, and that's when you were kind of struggling the final mm, decision on school.
Yeah.
And we got you through. And then I thought, well, we'll do it maybe around Christmas, and that didn't work. But then you picked up this job, and as you were talking about these things, I was like, there it is.
There,
There's our thing. Because I
you
asked you the
cracked
question.
it.
I mean, just in full transparency, I said, one night you were supposed to be on, and you're like, I just don't have anything to talk about. And I'm like, yeah, no worries. Like, we don't need to force this thing. You just weren't in the zone yet. And yet, how different is that now that you've got this job that you really like? And I think it shows. I mean, I think you can hear it in your voice, and I think people are recognizing that. So, congrats on the job. And we get to talk about this every day, so it sounds kind of weird me saying that,
Yeah.
but for folks listening on it, I think it's a big deal, and exciting as your dad. Super exciting to see you to get into it and be excited about it. I mean, that's what, as dads and moms, that's what we wish for. That kids find jobs that they find exciting, and leads to whatever the next thing is. So cool. Any final thoughts? Anything you wanna end it with? And then I'll close this out.
I don't think so.
All right. Well, with that, we'll remind everyone to join us for future conversations in our Discord group. Head out to theaverageguy.tv/Discord if you want to leave us a message. If you've got an idea for a show, or you got a question or something along those lines, you can leave us a message. HomeGadgetGeeks.com. Of course, we thank Christian over at Maple Grove Partners. Get secure, reliable, high-speed hosting from people that you know and you trust. That's Maple Grove Partners. Plans still start at $10, or as little as $10, as he likes me to say, a month. MapleGrovePartners.com. Don't forget, and Sammy, this is you and me all the time. We're cooking HelloFresh meals, and they've really upped the savings, right? So if you haven't tried HelloFresh before, save as much as $110, $110 on your first 5 boxes. Try it out. $40 on the first box alone. They've got this interesting structure where it starts at 40 and it works its way down. Check it out today. This I do have a link for, theaverageguy.tv/HelloFresh, if you want to give that a try. And we crush it, right? Like
we're amazing cooks with HelloFresh. I mean, we're pretty good cooks without it, but we're way better cooks with it.
It's pretty good. We do at least 2 a week, sometimes 3. We did 3 this week.
Sometimes we get a bonus.
We had a bonus we did it on Sunday.
If you're a loyal customer, sometimes you get bonus meals.
It was delicious.
It was real good.
You can what's your favorite, by the way? What do you think? What's your go-to favorite HelloFresh meal?
What's a good one, man? I love the shepherd's pie.
Oh yeah.
Like that one's such a classic. So comforting. Also the Italian noodle soup with the Italian chicken sausage. That one's real good.
Flautas are good. I like those.
Yeah, the beef flautas. Excellent.
I like those. Yeah, just some good stuff.
Good, man. Oh, the Italian chicken over lemony spaghetti, a classic. So good.
Yeah, and that you can beef up and beef up.
Yeah, you can double that one really easily if you're feeding an army.
Yeah. No, it's pretty great. And they've worked hard to kind of keep. I mean, they have a ton of offerings. I just logged into the app the other day and I was surprised that there was 19 different meals in there. And you're like, holy crap. When I first started HelloFresh, it was 6.
Yeah, it was. They've really upped the ante.
They really have. Yeah, give it a try. theaverageguy.tv/HelloFresh. You can contact the show. Send me an email, jim@theaverageguy.tv. I'm not really on Twitter much anymore, but at J Collison. And of course, like I said before, you can join us in the Discord group. That's where the conversation goes on. theaverageguy.tv/Discord. Thanks for coming out tonight. If you're listening live, we probably won't do much of a post show. John says thanks, Sammy. Appreciate he says awesome show. We probably won't do much of a post show, but with that we'll say goodbye.